Today on Pirates Franchise. Welcome to the MLB First-Year Player Draft. The White Sox are going for the upside swing, and I believe he has a higher ceiling than any player in this class. Really cool moment here at PNC Park for our first-round draft pick to soak it all in. One of the most surprising draft free falls in recent memory. With the fifth pick in the 2026 MLB First-Year Player Draft, the Pittsburgh Pirates select. We'll get to drafting a little bit later in today's episode, but for now we start at roughly the halfway point of the year. We're 38-40. We're currently outside looking in of the wild card race, but I would say we're certainly still in it. We did not have a great month of May, but things are really turning around here in June with series wins against the Astros, the Braves, the Dodgers even. And we're looking to keep it going, rolling into the All-Star break, and of course the MLB Draft, which will be later today. Right now, we're currently in fourth place in the division, but we do it the second best run differential. As we look at the standings overall, the Mets, Cubs, and Dodgers all currently lead their respective divisions in the National League. And the wild card race is really competitive. The Padres, Diamondbacks, and Phillies currently hold the spots. We're 5 back of the last wild card. Boston, meanwhile, leads the American League East. The Royals lead the Central, and the Mariners are up top in the AL West, with the Rangers, Twins, and Yankees right now as the wild cards. But Houston and Baltimore are both within a game. The trade deadline is on the horizon as well. Many big names, including Tarek Skubal, are on the block, with the Tigers having a really disappointing season. And then as for us, I feel really good about our offense. Sure, it's maybe not the best lineup in baseball like it was maybe the first month of the year, but it's still a really good unit. Not necessarily one or two elite players, but a very collective, good group of guys, 1 to 9. And then the pitching, of course, Paul Skenes has been on another level. Over the last month and a half, I feel like he's pitched the best ball of his career, which says something because he's come into the big leagues and has dominated since the moment he got here. He leads in pitching WAR by nearly a full point, but despite that, he's in third for the Cy Young, and he's not currently slated to start the All-Star game with Yoshinobu Yamamoto ahead of him. I think a big reason for that is because he's only 6-5, which is really unfair to him, but the run support in Paul Skenes' starts this year has been just really bad. I mean, look at all these games where we did not score many runs with him on the bump. He pitched well and we still lost, and then out of nowhere we scored 20 against the Marlins with him pitching. We wasted all of our Paul Skenes runs in one game. Otherwise, we have Jared Jones back, which is a big deal. Of course, he missed all of 2025 with Tommy John in the first part of 2026. We had him make his debut against the Astros. I thought he looked pretty solid. And overall, in his first 4 games back, he looks pretty good. Obviously, he's going to be a big part of our future. He's got a long while left of team control, and we're hoping that Skenes, Jones, and Bubba Chandler can be the dynamic trio of the future. Mitch Keller, after a couple really bad starts early in the year, I'm happy with how he's played. And then even Braxton Ashcraft, he was doing horrible before he got hurt, but he's been playing a lot better since he got back. I think the rotation is honestly in a pretty good spot right now. So we're going to simulate up to pretty much the start of July. We've got the Mariners and the Reds, 6 games at home. Seattle's pretty tough. I think that'll be a really competitive series for us. And then the Red series will be of the utmost importance because they're only 2 games ahead of us right now in the wild card race. So we'll start with game 1 against Seattle, and we'll look at this spot. The bases are loaded. Jake Mangum is in off the bench. He's hitting .345 very quietly this year. First pitch grounds it right up the middle. J.P. Crawford sends it over to second, and Pittsburgh leaves them loaded. I thought we were over leaving the bases loaded. I guess not. That would be the difference. Mariners add an extra run. They win it 7-4, the first of 3. Seattle, of course, is currently in first place in the AL West. I'd love to win this series. I think that'd be a big confidence booster for us, but now we're going to have to win each of the last 2 games in order to do so. Logan Gilbert was pretty good, 6 2/3, led up 4, was really good early, then it kind of got away from him late. If nothing else, at least Connor Griffin played well, 2 for 4, couple RBIs and a homer. So I'm leaving here with something. Bubba Chandler gets the loss. He didn't play very well. His ERA now approaching the mid-5s. We won the second game, ironically by the same score of 7-4. And now there's deja vu here in the finale. Bases loaded, tight game, top of the 7th for Julio Rodriguez, who gets a hold of the 1-1 slider into left at the wall. It is out of here! A grand slam for J-Rod. And the Mariners lead it 6-2. with one swing of the bat. The entire game has been flipped on its head. Obviously unfortunate for us, especially given that there were 2 outs. So in the first game, we don't take advantage of the bases loaded. In the last game, we let up the grand slam, and that would be the difference. Seattle wins it 7-3. The Mariners end up taking the series against us. A nice road 3-game set for Seattle. J-Rod, the player of the game, with the salami in the 7th. Our offense really did not get a lot of base runners in this game, only 5 hits. It's impressive that of those 5, we were able to drive in 3 runs. Nick Gonzalez with a homer. Connor Griffin had 2 hits, 2 RBIs, and a walk. He's playing some really good baseball right now, but the rest of the team didn't really show up. Now on to a really big series against Cincinnati, and a really big 3rd game because we split the first 2. It's the rubber match. We're looking for the series win. Down by 1, bottom 9, nobody out. But Connor Griffin, the speedster, is at first base. So we've got a really good opportunity with the middle of the order and arguably our fastest base runner aboard. But Ozuna pops up the first pitch behind home plate. Certainly not a good start. And now I think we have to be really aggressive with Connor Griffin. Try to get him in scoring position. Brandon Lau's probably not going to swing at this first pitch. And there he goes. Off to second. Griffin steals the bag. And the Pirates have a runner in scoring position. His 19th stolen base of the year. He can absolutely fly. 1-2 for Brandon Lau. Swing and a miss on the splitter. He has definitely come back down to earth after his remarkably great month of April where he won the NL Player of the Month. Now Brian Reynolds comes up. He's had a rough series, only 1 of 10. 0 for 4 today. Hasn't really given us anything at the plate against the Reds, but he can change that right here. 0-1, 2 away, runner at second. As this one is on the ground over to second. Sal Stewart makes the play, and the Cincinnati Reds win the series. They take the last game 5-4. We had our opportunity with Connor Griffin aboard and nobody out. Middle of the order, some of our best hitters due up. None of them come up big, and we lose each of the first 2 series of the day. Nick Lodolo lets up 10 hits, but their bullpen came in and really shut things down. Although we did have a couple runs driven in from Triolo. Jatinson Garcia played pretty well too. Bubba Chandler, meanwhile, takes another loss. So we go 2-4 to start things off, and we fall to a record of 40-44. We know we don't want to fall too far behind because if we do, we're not going to have any flexibility at the trade deadline, and we're going to have to sell, which would be unfortunate for a team that, at the start of the year had higher aspirations. There is one very positive trend I've been noticing, though, and it really feels like Connor Griffin is turning the corner. He was hitting like 220 for a while, but his average is up to the 260s. Over his last 10, he's hitting 429. We're seeing some power. He's still drawing a lot of walks. And I said it during the last episode, I think it's only a matter of time until he does figure it out offensively because his approach at the plate has been so good. His walk rate is lower than the 16% it was through the first month, which is to be expected. But he's hitting the ball really, really well. 4 games in Philadelphia against the Titans. I feel like we've got to play the Skenes and Sanchez matchup, a rematch from earlier in the year. So we'll simulate the first 2 games. Lost game 1, 2-1, because our offense couldn't hit the ball. We've got the lead 4-3 here in game 2. But here's Bryson Stott swiping second with ease. The speedster is in scoring position for the heart of the Philadelphia order. Not going to be easy, though, against Dennis Santana, who's had an awesome year as our closer. He gets Turner to go down looking. And now the 2-2, Schwarber. Swing and a miss on the cutter. Pirates take game 2, 4-3. We even the series up at 1. Braxton Ashcraft gets the win, 5 scoreless. He very quietly has been playing some really good baseball for us. He was horrible before he got injured. His ERA was almost at 10. But since then, he's been really, really solid. He outplayed Zach Wheeler. We do lose Carmen Majinski likely through the All-Star break. He's been one of our better relievers this year. So I'm going to call up Carson Fulmer, who's been in AAA, a guy with some big league experience. He's played pretty well this year, ERA at 2.75. Spent the last 3 years with the Angels, before that with the Reds, and was a very highly regarded prospect many moons ago with the Chicago White Sox. But we're going to add him to the 40-man, and he will be called up. He'll kind of take over that long relief role. Maybe he'll start as an opener if needed. So on to the main event of the 4 games against the Phillies. Paul Skenes and Christopher Sanchez, arguably the 2 best pitchers in the National League. These guys played against each other earlier in the year. The game was scoreless going into the 9th. Paul Skenes threw a complete game and got the loss Phillies won that one 2-0 in the Pennsylvania rivalry, or as it's properly known as now, the Poop Bowl. I talked about it a little bit at the top of the episode, but it really does feel like Paul Skenes is playing the best baseball of his career right now, which says something. It's really impressive that he's continuing to find ways to get better and better over his last 12 starts, which is damn near the duration of the whole year. He's thrown 83 innings, strikeout to walk ratio of 113-19. He's only allowed 59 hits, sub-2 ERA, sub-1 whip, but he only has 5 wins in that stretch because the offense does not give him run support. Hopefully they will today, but it's not going to be easy with this guy on the mound, Christopher Sanchez, who threw 7 scoreless in the win against the Pirates at PNC Park earlier this year. ERA is a little high, but don't get it twisted. The advanced metrics really favor him. Whip is barely above 1. He's still very much in the mix to be the best lefty in baseball, other than probably Tarek Skubal and maybe Garrett Crochet. As Jake Mangum, hitting at the 1 spot today, draws the walk. That'll bring up Connor Griffin, who's been amazing over the last few weeks, firmly in the mix for the Rookie of the Year. As this one is right on the ground to third. Phillies should turn 2, and they do. We'll talk about the Rookie of the Year race a little bit in this game because his main competition is on the other side in Justin Crawford. So here is Paul Skenes having an outstanding year. He's going to be an all-star again, certainly in the mix for the Cy Young once again after winning it last year. He only has 7 wins in 18 starts, though. It's foul what this offense has provided for him. Bryson Stott leads things off, up 3-1. Grounds it to third. Gonzalez deflects it, throw to first, not in time, an infield single for Stott. And then to make matters worse, on the dive, Gonzo injured himself. Doesn't seem like a super long-term worry, but he'll have to be taken out of the game, replaced by Jared Triolo. The Phillies, meanwhile, get an early runner aboard for the guy who's been the best hitter on the planet, Bryce Harper, with a swing and a drive into right. Nearing the second deck, it's gone. And the Phillies lead it 2-0. Bryce Harper's 30th. Yes, his 30th home run of the year. The first player in the big leagues to hit 30 in 2026. Quite the start for the Phils, and with how our offense has played with Paul Skenes starting, that might be all the run support they need. As Trey Turner goes down on the sinker. Kyle Schwarber 1-2, swing and a miss on the fastball. What I admire about Paul Skenes is even when he lets up a couple big hits, he has a really short mind. He's like a goldfish. He just gets right back to business. As we move into the second, Brian Reynolds, first hit of the game for the Pirates, a 1-out single into center field. So we've got a runner aboard. Who knows how many of those we're going to get against a guy like Christopher Sanchez, especially considering our team is designed to hit righties a lot better than lefties. Garcia grounds out to short. Turner sends it over to second for the 6-4 ground out. And we'll go bottom 2. It's Brandon Marsh who leads it off for the Phillies, hitting under 200 this year. As Cousin It goes down looking on the sweeper. Dylan Moore now up for the Fightins. He's having a really nice year, hitting 303 as a super utility man. Sends this one into right field. Paul Skenes has looked really good since allowing the homer to Harper. 6 up, 6 down after the long ball. Still 2-0 as Jared Triolo goes down looking. Triolo's going to challenge the call. He would be wrong. But interestingly, he is second in terms of position players on our team in WAR. Only behind O'Neal Cruz, who, like Triolo, did not get the start today. Mark Cholowsky getting the start for JT Realmuto, who gets the day off. He goes down swinging. Here's Bryce Harper now, the favorite for the National League MVP. After hitting his 30th home run of the year, he draws a walk. Paul Skenes does not want to give him anything good. First base runner for the Phillies since the homer by Harper. Trey Turner, meanwhile, rips it into right for a single. And the Phillies are starting to get a little something going. 2-out rally in the third. They've got a chance to make it ugly early with Kyle Schwarber. 2-2 on the ground to short. Connor Griffin fields it cleanly. Throw to first is in time. Paul Skenes is able to get out of the jam as it remains 2-0. We'll go into the fourth. We'll take a look at the National League Rookie of the Year race. I mentioned that Connor Griffin's top competitor will probably be Justin Crawford, who's ahead of him in WAR, although Griffin is starting to pass him statistically in many offensive stats as he singles into left. That one gets by Trey Turner. The red-hot Connor Griffin continues his impressive play, and the Pirates start the inning with their fastest player on board. Won't matter because Marcell Ozuna puts it on the ground for a 1-4-3 double play. Not ideal. Sanchez, meanwhile, is rolling, looking to get through 4 scoreless. He'll face off against fellow lefty Brandon Lau. The 3-2. Swing and a miss on the sinker. Brandon Lau has had such a strange year because he was so good in April, but his offense has been really average since then, and since he's not a good defender, his WAR is below 1. Edmundo, they all love Sosa! Into right field, that one will roll off the wall. Sosa leads off the frame with a double, and the Phillies get an early runner aboard. Justin Crawford, the current front runner for the NL Rookie of the Year, goes down on the sweeper. Connor Griffin, though, is quickly coming for that number 1 spot. Dylan Moore now 3-2 on the ground to short. Speaking of, it's Connor Griffin who makes the play. Throw to first is in time. Paul Skenes has been excellent since the home run to Harper. As we take a look at the National League postseason picture, there's something wrong with this photo. I'm not going to say it. You all probably can figure it out. There's a polar bear in Arlington, Texas. We'll move into the 5th. Brian Reynolds goes down looking to start the frame. Christopher Sanchez is just on a heater right now, and he hasn't really relied on the swing and miss stuff. We're just not really hitting the ball very hard. I also, again, don't think it helps that our team is designed to hit righties more so than lefties. But Ryan O'Hearn does draw a walk there. O'Hearn continues to be one of our more consistent hitters this year. Jotinson Garcia down the line, blocked by Harper. Garcia is out at first. Good job by Harper to quickly get up, make the throw. Good hustle by Christopher Sanchez to get to the base. Runner at second for Endy Rodriguez. He goes down on the circle change. Rodriguez normally would never start against lefties, but Joey Bart's a little bit dinged up. So unfortunately, we didn't really have a choice. Bottom 5, Cholowsky leads it off for the Phillies, 2-2. This one is down the line. Fair ball. Rolls to the right field corner. And Philadelphia starts the inning with a runner in scoring position. The 9-hole hitter, no less. This should have been the easy out. Now the top of the order is a chance to drive him in. That'll start with Stott. 1-2 on the ground. Cholowsky heads for third. Rodriguez the throw. No, he's safe. In real time, I thought he was clearly out, but we're out of challenges, so we can't look at it. 2-2. Is that not a strike? Again, we're out of challenges. That pitch hit the zone. That's in there. 3-2. Ball don't lie. Stott goes down looking for out number 1. Bryce Harper now 2-2. Harper on the ground to second. Should be a routine play. Throw to first is in time, but the run scores. And the Phillies now lead it 3-0. Instead of the poop ball, it's now the Pope ball. As we move into the 6th, Griffin grounded to short. Turner on the run in time. 6 shutty for Sanchez. He's balling. Skenes, meanwhile, we're going to keep in the game. Again, if this was anybody else, I would take him out, but we treat things differently with Paul Skenes because he's that good. Marsh, 1-2. This one is hit up the middle, blocked by Lau. No throw to first. Brandon Marsh can run. He's another guy who's got a lot of speed. This Phillies team has so many guys who can move. As he digs for second, ball is in the dirt, so there's not going to be a throw. And the Phillies now the runner in scoring position and a big opportunity for Justin Crawford, who gets a hold of this one into right field. Reynolds at the track, at the wall. It is caught! Brian Reynolds robs Justin Crawford, another guy who we had in our White Sox franchise last year, robbing him of probably an extra base hit. Remains 3-0. Paul Skenes' night is over. Christopher Sanchez, meanwhile, his will extend to the top of the 7th inning. Ozuna will get his start, the 100th pitch of the game for Sanchez, as this one is grounded past the diving glove of Sosa into left field. Dylan Moore botches it at the wall. Ozuna heads for second, and he is safe. A leadoff double. Could this be the spark that the Pirates are potentially looking for? Now that Paul Skenes is going to be out of the game, now we're allowed to score. Wow, swinging a miss on this sinker. He's had a lot of strikeouts over the last couple of months. Brian Reynolds now swinging a miss on the circle change, hitting from the right side of the plate today, of course, as that'll bring up Ryan O'Hearn. Sanchez at 117 pitches. Workhorse, as that's ball 3. Might have been in there. It was close. O'Hearn looks at it, and it's a good decision. Full count pitch now on the way. 119 for Sanchez. Back up the middle, base hit. Ozuna waved around third, heads for home. The throw from Crawford is not in time. And the Pirates are on the board as it's 3-1. So from there, Topper's going to come in. He's going to take Sanchez out of the game. 6 2/3, only one earned run, at least so far. Really, really good outing from Christopher Sanchez, as he will be replaced by Orion Kerkering. 2.75 ERA and 39 1/3 innings this year. The Phillies are hoping the Pirates' offense will pipe down, now that it says pipe on the scoreboard. As O'Neal Cruz comes in off the bench, he lines out to left, and it remains 3-1. So at least we score. O'Hearn with the RBI, but still a lot of work to do. Mason Montgomery out of the pen here in the bottom of the 7th. He's been inconsistent for us, but I've been impressed by the flashes. There is a lot of upside with Mason Montgomery, as he'll face off against Cholowsky, who doubled and scored his last time up. He goes down on the high fastball, clocking in at 100 miles an hour. Bryson Stott now 1-2, lefty on lefty. Swing and a miss, 98-mile-an-hour two-seamer. I'm telling you, Mason Montgomery is nasty. It's just about the control. That's the only thing he really needs to clean up on. And once he does, I think he could be a dominant closer as we move into the 8th. Rodriguez. Ooh, that's a close call. Cholowsky wants another look. He's going to challenge it. In real time, I thought it was a ball. Wow, it barely hits the corner, enough to call it a strike. That is as close as it gets. Triolo, swing and a miss. Kerkering, piping the fastball at 99. We'll go bottom 8. Montgomery in for one more batter. I want the lefty-on-lefty matchup with Bryce Harper, who gets fooled by the slider. Even the best hitter in baseball cannot outduel Mr. Montgomery. From there, we're going to bring in the righty Yohan Ramirez. He'll face off against Kyle Schwarber with 2 away, who swings and misses at the sinker. We've got some work to do going into the top of the 9th. Trailing 3-1. The offense has not had a good game whatsoever, but we'll see if we can potentially change our fortunes against the all-star closer, Johan Duran. The 3-2, Connor Griffin starts with a walk. So really the run that matters is the tying run, so it doesn't matter that much that Griffin's super fast, but it doesn't hurt. Ozuna 1-1, up the middle, base hit. Griffin will round second, heads for third, and he is safe. And now all of a sudden things are getting interesting. We get a couple early base runners off of Duran. The tying run is aboard. The go-ahead run is at the plate. Wow, the 1-1. Line to first, almost a double play. Wow, I thought Harper was going to tag him in time. That was a heck of a catch. We are lucky there was only one out there. Ryan Reynolds 1-2, hits it high in the air in the left. Dylan Moore is under it. He'll make the play. We're not going to tag up the runner. He would have been safe, but I didn't really see the reason to, because again, the runner that matters is Ozuna at first. O'Hearn the 1-1, up the middle, gets by Stott. That'll score a run. Ozuna will hold up at second, and it's 3-2. We've got the tying run at second and the go-ahead run at first. With O'Neal Cruz up, the Phillies are going to go back to the bullpen. They're going to take out Duran, and they're going to bring in the lefty, Jose Alvarado. The 1-1 here for O'Neal Cruz, who entered the game as an offensive substitution back in the 7th. Cruz lines it into center, hits it pretty well, but it is caught by Brandon Marsh, and the Phillies win it 3-2. Death, taxes, and Paul Skenes getting the loss because his offense did not do enough. Really hard to blame the pitching today. Sure, we allowed the 2-run homer in the first. The Phillies only scored 1 run after that. Paul Skenes pitched another really good game, yet he's only 7-6. And unfortunately, in MLB The Show, your record as a pitcher matters for awards and whatnot. Paul Skenes could seriously lose out on the Cy Young because he doesn't have run support, which is ridiculous, and it's insane because we have a good offense. It's just that they don't play well when Paul Skenes is there. And the second we took him out of the game, the offense started to wake up over the last 3 innings. It's like they hate him. O'Hearn had 2 hits, 2 RBIs, and a walk. Otherwise, nobody else was very good. Skenes' final line, 6 innings, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts, and of course, his 6th loss of the year. The Phillies only had 7 base runners. Their offense was not good. 6 hits and a walk. Harper with the homer. He drove in all 3. Sanchez with the win. He was great. Bullpen, not the best, but they did their job. If we want to make some noise this year and try to make a playoff run, we've got to start winning some of these games so we can be buyers at the trade deadline. We've got to try to split the series against the Phillies. We're currently down 2-1. We've got 3 games in Washington. We have to take advantage of that. The Nationals are not very good. And then a 6-game homestand against the Braves and the Brewers, who are both very much in the mix. for the wild card like us. So that's going to be a really pivotal stretch. 10-game stretch before the All-Star break. I'd love to see 6-4, 7-3, maybe even better. Fingers crossed. We lost the last game against the Phillies, won the first game against the Nationals, and now we're in a big spot here in Game 2. Dalen Lyle, swing and miss. The Nationals had 2 on, 2 away. They're down by 1, but Yohan Ramirez gets us out of the jam, and that would be the difference. The Pirates win it here on the 4th of July, 3-2, and now we're going to look for the sweep in Game 3. What's remarkable about our season so far is that we have 0 sweeps the entire season. That's crazy. We're over halfway through the year. Our team's not that bad, but we haven't swept anybody. This team is not streaky at all. We don't go on win streaks. We don't go on losing streaks. Mitch Keller with another really strong start. His ERA is right now at around 4. And if you take out his first 2 or 3 starts of the year, that number would be really solid. So I've got to say I'm really happy with how he's recovered after an ugly opening couple of weeks. All right, here's our chance for the sweep. 2 runners on, down by 1, top of the 9th, 1 away for Ryan O'Hearn, who's 0 for 4. He sends this one, however, into the gap. That's going to drop. That one will roll all the way to the wall. Garcia scores. We're tied. The Nationals having a lot of trouble in the outfield. O'Hearn to third. Everybody is safe. It's a 2-run triple. O'Hearn's 6th. Yes, somehow his 6th triple of the year. I have no clue how he's gotten it to that point, but it gets us 2 runs, and it puts us ahead. Mitchell Parker now comes out of the bullpen for Washington. The Nationals find themselves trailing, looking to avoid the sweep with a runner 90 away from home, and it looks like he'll score. Brian Reynolds with a single. The Nationals being slow to get to the ball in the outfield is going to cost them a run, because otherwise O'Hearn would have never scored. They would have never had to play their infield in, and they probably could have gotten the out. Connor Griffin up the middle, base hit. His strong play has continued as we've got 2 runners on, 2 away. We're really trying to add to this lead and turn the 9th inning into an explosion. It's Joey Bart facing off against the lefty. First pitch is hit well into right. This ball is going to go in the gap, and 1 hops off the wall. Reynolds scores. Griffin quickly behind. 2-run double for Joey Bart. A 6th spot here in the 9th inning for the Pirates, who win it 7-3. It's our first sweep of the entire year. I cannot believe it took us 100 games. Again, it's not even like we're that bad of a team. It's remarkable that it took this long. You figure if it would be against anybody, it probably would be the Nationals, who are the worst team in baseball this year. James Wood homered for them. He's really the only thing they have going. 13 hits, 4 walks. We had a lot of base runners, but we couldn't score them until the end. Mangum homers. O'Hearn really started the rally. Bart was the one who finished it. Ashcraft was okay. Bullpen did their thing, though, helping us get the win. We're going to start to see the trade market really get active in July. Here's our first big move. Sandy Alcantara and Anthony Bender are off to Baltimore. The Orioles are certainly in the mix for the AL playoff push. They're going to give away a really good prospect in Nate George, who's ranked top 40 in all of Major League Baseball. That's a lot. They are getting 2 years of control, though, for Sandy Alcantara and Anthony Bender. Baltimore clearly believes in their ability to make a World Series run this year. Now against Atlanta, tied at 2 in the bottom of the 9th. This is of game number 2. We lost the first as Connor Griffin puts it on the ground, and Ozzie Albies makes the play. Griffin unable to get the walk-off against his childhood team, and that will bring us into the bottom of the 10th. Bullpen was clutch. The Braves did not end up scoring anyone. Connor Griffin is at 3rd with 2 away. So a big chance here for Brian Reynolds, but he's got to get the base hit if we want to bring him home. Let's see if Reynolds can win it. Count is full. 2 away. Draws a walk. The walk doesn't really do anything for us because Griffin is the run that's important. I mean, Brian Reynolds is just kind of there at this point. As that'll bring up Ryan O'Hearn ahead in the count 1-0 with 2 away here in the bottom of the 10th. As O'Hearn says goodbye, flips the bat. This ball goes over the seats into the Allegheny. Everybody's going home happy. A walk-off winner for Ryan O'Hearn, and the Pirates take it 5-2. To add to the storyline, Atlanta, who's been pretty bad for most of the year, has climbed all the way back into the mix for the wild card. They were on an 8-game winning streak prior to the walk-off winner by Ryan O'Hearn here in the 10th. That was his only hit of the game, but he certainly made it count. He ends up winning the player of the game there with that one swing of the bat. Was not our best game offensively, but the pitching was phenomenal. Only 3 hits for Atlanta. They did get 4 walks. Chris Sale was pretty good. Connor Griffin, 1 for 3, a hit, a run, a walk, an RBI, and a stolen base. A little bit of everything. The Braves, meanwhile, are going to make a trade going into the last game. They get Harrison Bader, Sam Sanchez, and Jason Foley from the Giants. So clearly, they're going to be buyers at this deadline, given their impressive streak over the last week. We'll see if we can win this series, though. No shortage of offense in Game 3. It's 9-8. Dominic Smith swings at a pitch he should not have. Loops it into shallow center, where Jared Triolo makes the catch. Really nice pitch by Johan Ramirez, who's been outstanding for us over the last 2 months. I've been really impressed with him. Pirates would end up getting the win, 9-8. The offense, I think, has been a little shaky so far in July, but we had our best game of the month so far, and in a game where we really needed it, given that we gave up 8 runs. Bubba Chandler gets the win, even if he didn't really deserve it. Atlanta's offense was a whole lot better in this game. 9 hits, 5 walks. They still take the same result, an L. Olsen homered, Hyun Kim homered, and Dominic Smith, he only has 3 homers this year, but he's homered in each of the last 2 games. As for us, Horwitz homers, Connor Griffin homers. Bubba Chandler really wasn't all that good, but he gets the win. The hot streak for Griffin continues. He's homered twice in a game that we lead 16-2 against the Brew Crew. We lost the first, and I think it's pretty safe to say we're going to win the second. Griffin hits this one well into right center. Will not get his 3rd homer, but it is his 3rd extra base hit. Going off the wall for an RBI double, making it 17-2. Connor Griffin is just really turning it up. He's got 3 homers in the last 3 games. He's hitting for average. He's drawing walks. He's getting extra bases. He's driving guys in. I mean, he's doing everything for us. The Brewers added a few runs late, but it's certainly not going to matter. 17-5. Our offense just has these games where we randomly explode. 17 runs against the Brewers. Last month, we had 16 runs against the Rockies, 20 runs against the Marlins. I don't know what it is. We just have these games every few weeks where it's contagious. Everybody's got the hot bat, and today that was today. No hotter bat than Connor Griffin. 3 for 5, 2 homers, a double, scored twice, drove in 6. He is incredible with runners on base. I think his average with runners in scoring position is like 330 or something ridiculous. Brandon Woodruff, who's had a really good year, had a disastrous start. Marcell Ozuna homers, Nick Gonzalez homers, 4 RBIs for Gonzo, 3 for Ozuna. Everybody had at least 1 hit in this game. We didn't need to pitch very well. Braxton Ashcraft only lasted 2 1/3. That tells me he got injured. Carson Fulmer was okay in relief. Luckily, Ashcraft is going to be fine. He just broke his nail. So we're going to stop in front of this last game against Milwaukee. We're playing pretty well in this stretch. I said I wanted to see 6-4, 7-3. Right now, we're 5-4, but the offense has scored 31 runs over the last 3 games. I stopped one before the All-Star break, though, intentionally, because it's draft day. 47-49 now going into draft day. The Pirates have drafted really well in recent years. We'll see if that continues today. Welcome to the MLB First-Year Player Draft. We're joined by the Commissioner, Rob Manfred, as we'll go through 6 rounds today on Out of the Park Baseball 27. For those of you who missed the last episode or need a refresher and are probably very confused, I really want custom draft classes for this series. So I'm going to be using this first year as a test with the real-life draft classes. So all of these players who we're going to talk about today, they are real people, and they will be in the real 2026 MLB Draft. Last episode was our prospect profile. I discussed how many of these players could potentially translate to the big leagues or fit on the Pirates. The storyline that's dominated the headlines since then is the fall of Roch Cholowsky. The projected number 1 pick had a rough ending to the College World Series and then tore his ACL. Scouts have no clue where he's going to go now. He could go in the top 10. He could go as late as the supplemental round, given that he's going to miss the first half of next year and his play didn't really meet the level of being the number 1 pick. Who's going to be the one to take the gamble and choose him? Could it be the Pirates? Now that it's a lot more likely he's going to fall to number 5. We've got a supplemental pick, and we've got the 6th pick in every round following. And most importantly, we've got number 5 in the first round. Let's get this show on the road, shall we? With the number 1 pick in the 2026 Major League Baseball Amateur Draft, the Chicago White Sox select Grady Emerson, a prep shortstop. He was the projected number 1 pick in the mock draft, so this isn't necessarily a major surprise, but it's crazy that after all this time, it will not be Roch Cholowsky. To me, the White Sox are going for the upside swing, and I believe he has a higher ceiling than any player in this class. Potential 80 grade contact. This is someone who could be at the top of the order for years to come for the White Sox. 16 homers at nearly 500 this year as a high school senior at Fort Worth Christian, a TCU commit, but I assume he will not be going there. Alex Harrington, the 2nd pick. We talked about him a little bit in the mock draft. I didn't think he would actually be the number 2 pick. I'm really surprised that the Rays are going to pull the trigger on this. They got really lucky in the draft lottery. I thought they'd really take advantage, maybe pick someone at slot value, but they're going to go heavily under slot. To me, I think Harrington's an intriguing prospect. I don't think I would have picked him 2nd overall, though. Only 7 home runs. I don't think there's a ton of power. The contact grade, it's only 25 now, so it's raw, and it tops at 55. So I don't know if that's the pick I would have made if I was them. The Twins get Brady Harris, a center fielder from Trinity Christian Academy. 3 prep bats in a row to start the draft, and I think there's a ton of upside with Harris. It's easy to see why the Twins like him. A guy who I think can be a really good contact bat in the long term with 65 power potential, 55 eye potential, 60 defense potential. This is a guy who I think can be a really well-rounded center fielder. Byron Buxton, of course, a top pick himself, has been amazing. If all goes well, Brady Harris, I think, could potentially be the heir apparent for Byron Buxton in a few years. Everybody at the top is going for upside with 3 high schoolers in a row. Only one more team ahead of us. The Giants select Jacob Lombard. Back-to-back prep players. Lombard, a shortstop from Gulliver Prep. He is the younger brother of Joe Lombard Jr., first rounder of the Yankees a couple years ago. Lombard, to me, is really well-rounded. I think his game is very solid across the board. He's fast, good defense, solid power. I think he's got pretty good plate skills. To me, I think he's going to be a guy who I think has a really solid chance to contribute early for a high schooler. And I think there's a lot of long-term potential with him as well. So I do think this is a good pick for the Giants. And now the Pirates are on the board at number 5. 4 high school players in a row. Some good players still left here, including Roch Cholowsky, the projected number 1 pick. Now, he was actually projected after our 2nd choice. So would it be logical to pick him here? If we really like him, I think the answer is yes. But there are some questions with the struggles in the College World Series in Omaha and the torn ACL that's going to keep him out probably until June or July of next year. So if we want to go with a college player, we have our pick of the litter. They're all still here. Cholowsky, of course, is the big name left, but it's not just him. There are plenty of other collegiate players who I like in terms of both pitchers and position players. Liam Peterson, the dominant righty from Florida. I think he might be the best pitcher in this draft. Cameron Flukie from Coastal Carolina. I think he would make sense. Justin Lebron from Alabama. I think he's just as good as Roch Cholowsky. There's Ace Reese, the big, power-hitting third baseman from Mississippi State. I think he could have a permanent home for us at the hot corner and would fit really well with our ballpark. If we want to go with a prep player, all the high upside guys like Emerson and Harris are off the board. But I think there's a lot of good options, especially in terms of the pitching. Coleman Borthwick is a guy we looked at. There's Alain Gomez Judino, a catcher from Venezuela. He has a really high ceiling. What's tricky about these prep players is that they have very large signing bonus demands because all these colleges are trying to get them. Savion Sims, Joseph Contreras, Jensen Hirschkorn, who was mocked to us for a while, Carson Bolliman. These guys have colleges knocking on the door trying to get their services, and while they probably would come to us as a top 5 pick, it would cost a lot of money to do so. Ultimately, after thinking about it, I think I know the direction we're going to go with our very first pick of this series. With the 5th pick in the 2026 MLB First-Year Player Draft, the Pittsburgh Pirates select Justin Lebron, a shortstop from the University of Alabama. The first college bat is off the board, and it's not Roch Cholowsky, who falls out of the top 5. Justin Lebron is the 5th pick to the Pittsburgh Pirates as he will go up to the podium and shake hands with Rob Manfred. This has been the apple of our eye through the entire draft process, and I'm confident that this young man can be a huge pillar in our lineup for years to come. For me, it really came down to LeBron and Cholowsky. I think the two of them, in terms of their production this year, were really similar. But the big difference for me is that I don't have any questions about LeBron in terms of the medical. He's healthy, he's good to go, and I cannot say the same about Roch Cholowsky. I really like this young man's game. 6'2", 180 pounds, had a great season at the plate this year. 26 doubles, 10 triples, 24 homers, nearly an even walk-to-strikeout ratio. Hit .302, his OPS above 1,100. This is a guy who's really well-rounded to me. Contact, power, plate skills. I think defensively, he'll be able to stick at shortstop, maybe never a Gold Glover, but I think he'll be able to stay there in the long term. He doesn't really have any major weaknesses. I think he's one of the most pro-ready players in this class, and I do think there's a lot of long-term potential with him. Not to mention, we're able to go under slot here. Believe it or not, his signing bonus demand is $2 million less than the selection itself, which is going to give us more long-term flexibility later in the draft. Really cool moment here at PNC Park for our first-round draft pick to soak it all in. This is where he hopefully will be beginning his big league career. I'm really excited about this pick. I think this is a guy who can help turn around the franchise. The question, though, is what position would he play long-term, given we have Connor Griffin at shortstop already. I think in the long term, LeBron could have the versatility to play third or second. And in the last episode, I also talked about the idea of Connor Griffin being an outfielder long term. I think he's got the range to play center. Physically, I think he's got some similarities to guys like O'Neal Cruz and Fernando Tatis Jr., who made the transition from shortstop into the outfield, and maybe LeBron gets that spot instead. I'm really excited about him being the top pick of the series, and I've got to say it's a fun added bonus whenever he gets to make a big play. I get to yell, LeBron! Shout out our glorious king, my knight in shining armor, my Pookie Bear, LeBron, Raymond James Sr. We'll start to move a little faster, but we've definitely got to talk about this next pick. The Royals did it! Roch Cholowsky, number 6 overall, is headed to Kansas City. Wow, this is bold. But if he's healthy, this could end up being the best player in the draft. He was the shoo-in number 1 pick for months. One of the most surprising draft free falls in recent memory. He falls this far, but I think Kansas City's got a lot to be excited about, and I think him sharing the infield in the long term with Bobby Witt Jr., Michael Garcia, Vinny Pasquantino, that's going to be a really good group. There's a reason why Cholowsky has been the projected number 1 pick for so long. Hit 20 homers, 64 RBIs, .302 average. He did struggle, though, down the stretch in Omaha, and it all culminated with the torn ACL in UCLA's final game, and he's not going to be available for probably the first 2 to 3 months of the year. I thought there was a real shot that he would contribute right away in 2027. The ACL tear probably will not let him. Drew Burress to the Orioles at number 7. I like this pick quite a bit. He's got contact. He's got speed. I think he'll be able to play in center in the long term. I was hoping he would fall to our second pick. Obviously, that was a pipe dream. 25 home runs, 285 average, 420 on base. You look at the power, you look at the discipline, you look at a guy who really just checks off a lot of boxes, and I think will be contributing quite early for Baltimore. Liam Peterson from Florida. All the college guys are flying off the board. I think this is the best pitching prospect in this draft. 2.29 ERA and over 106 innings this year. Peterson's got absolutely nasty stuff. A great fastball, a great curveball, a couple more pitches that are works in progress. I think this is a guy who could be an ace in the future for the Athletics, a team who's got a great group of hitters, but certainly needs some dominant arms. Ace Reese, the big power-hitting third baseman out of Mississippi State, goes to Atlanta. 29 home runs for the Bulldogs this past season. And then in the MLB Draft League, which is where prospects get to play, try to boost their stock up, in 116 at-bats, he hit .293. The contact was really impressive. You combine that with the power that he showed through his college career, I think he could be a great player. Now that all the guys we kind of thought about at 5 are gone, we'll really start to move a little faster. AJ Gracia from the University of Virginia goes to the Rockies. Really good plate discipline, good contact and power mix. Jim Thome's son Landon is off to Washington. Jackson Flora from UC Santa Barbara to the Angels. Daniel Cuvée, big power-hitting third baseman from Miami to the Cardinals. Zion Rose is a guy I liked a lot for our second pick. Very well-rounded hitter from Louisville. I'm disappointed he ended up going this early. Trevor Condon, impressive contact-hitting high school bat. to the Cardinals. Cole Koninger, another high school bat. He's more of a power guy, though. Went deep 14 times this past year. Chris Hakopian goes to the Houston Astros. I think he's got a solid skill set, contact, power, defense mix. Now we're going to start to see some of the high school arms off the board. Carson Bowman to the Reds. Jensen Hirschkorn, who was originally projected with our pick at number 5, goes to Cleveland at 19. I was hoping he would fall to our second pick, and I certainly would have thought about it with him. I don't love the idea of using a super high financial commitment with our second pick, but Hirschkorn might have been worth the upside. He goes to Cleveland, a pitching development factory. Derek Curiel from LSU to the Red Sox. Big-time contact, hit .307 this year. Chris Rembert from Auburn to the San Diego Padres. Very well-rounded skill set. Parker Lowe from IMG Academy, a shortstop prospect, will go to Detroit. Raw, but has a lot of upside. Dominic Santorelli is a guy I had my eye on for our second pick. Big-time power potential. He went deep 20 times this year in only 37 games. I was sure he would fall to our second pick. I don't know if I would have chosen him. I definitely would have thought about it. I'm disappointed he goes off the board this early, but the LSU commitment is off to Chicago. He's in our division now with the Cubs. A guy who I'm surprised fell this far was shortstop Rocco Maniscalco. He goes to Seattle. Now, interestingly, our scouts have done more work on him, and it seems like the offensive profile is a lot more limited than we originally expected. I do think his approach at the plate is really good. He walked 51 times in 44 games, only struck out 23. But again, he's not playing against the best of competition. The Mississippi State commit will either get to follow in the path of Ace Reese or the more likely option, sign with Seattle. Matt Kowalski goes to the Milwaukee Brewers as we wrap up the first round. Catcher Will Brick, the first backstop off the board. I was sure it would have been Carson Tenney, although he's not going to have to wait too much longer. The Texas Longhorn is off to the Yankees. I definitely would have thought about him in the second round. I'm disappointed he just went. He had a great year, 23 homers. Struggled in the MLB Draft League, though, which could have contributed to his fall. Connor Comeo, a third baseman, is off the board to the Philadelphia Phillies. 16 home runs this past season. The Blue Jays get one of the highest upside players in the draft with catcher Alan Gomez-Judino. I definitely would have thought about him with our 32nd pick, but he goes a couple spots before to Toronto. Just 2 more picks to go. The Dodgers at number 30 select Logan Schmidt. Really impressive stuff. Really intriguing upside to me. I think the sky is the limit for him. And then Trey Rangel is off the board to the Colorado Rockies. The University of Texas commit is Colorado's second pick. So that brings up the Pirates here in the supplemental round. A lot of the guys I had my eye on ended up going off the board, but there's still plenty of talent, particularly in terms of the pitching crop. And I think we are going to go with the pitcher here. We've got to find the right guy, though, because there's a lot of upside still here. Coleman Borthwick, Savion Sims, Joseph Contreras, all still on the board, but I'd rather not get one of those guys with a super big bonus demand because, one, it's going to hurt our flexibility for the rest of the draft, but I also think it's going to be really hard to sign those guys. I want someone who throws super hard, though. Mason Coleman is questionable velo. Cameron Flukie, I think, could work, but his bonus demand is really large. It's tricky because we've got to find the right balance of the type of pitcher we're looking for. We could continue to look down the board even further at someone like Gio Rojas, who we talked about a little bit in the last episode. Colin Clark from the University of Oregon. Tegan Kuhns from the University of Tennessee. Caden Whitechester. I think all of these guys could be in play for us, and we could make a little bit more of a surprise pick here. With the 32nd pick in the 2026 MLB First-Year Player Draft, the Pittsburgh Pirates select Tegan Kuhns, a right-handed starting pitcher from the University of Tennessee. Not one of the super highly projected pitchers left in terms of the draft rankings, but I really like this kid, and I think he's worth it here at number 32 because he checks off all the boxes that I'm looking for. Really impressive season this year with the Vols. 14 starts, 93 innings, ERA at 2.71, whip at 1.2. 95 strikeouts, only 31 walks. He's got a great fastball, he's got a great curveball, and you're looking at possibly a 5-pitch mix. The splitter, slider, and changeup are all very much a work in progress. Not really there yet, but could be in the future. This might seem like a reach, but he was projected to go in the first round of the mock draft, number 18 to Cincinnati. And some of those other guys like Contreras and Sims, they were projected to go later. So I think this pick to me makes a lot of sense. Not to mention, he's kind of a local guy. He's from Gettysburg, PA, which isn't really close to Pittsburgh, but it's not that far out. To me, he gives me a guy who throws hard, has upside. He's skilled, he's productive, and he's not going to cost as much as a lot of these others, which again gives us more flexibility, I think, for the rest of the draft. I think Tegan Kuntz can end up being really good for us down the line. Tyler Spangler, he to me could be Gunnar Henderson 2.0 if everything aligns. He goes to the Rays. Joseph Contreras is going to be in our division with the Cardinals. I definitely thought about it. I mean, watching him in the World Baseball Classic against the best hitters in the world was certainly eye-opening. Now, the Cardinals are going to have to pay him a lot of money to try to keep him away from Vanderbilt. But going basically in the first round, number 34 overall, I do think they're going to have the upper hand. Really good stuff. Really, really high ceiling. The other arms did not have to wait too much longer either. Savion Sims goes to the Yankees. 6'8", really intriguing build. The University of Oklahoma commit, I think, is one of the higher ceiling players in this class. I think he has more upside than Kuntz, but a lower floor. Cameron Flukie, meanwhile, is going to the Phillies. He was my second choice here after Kuntz, and you could probably argue that he's a little bit better, but he's also a lot more expensive. I don't think it's a $5 million difference, put it that way, which is why I was ultimately willing to pass on him, although it was challenging. I think Flukie's a really, really good prospect, has had a great season with the Chanticleers, and then a number of these other pitchers went. Gio Rojas, the most recent pick, to Minnesota. That's fine, because I got the pitcher I wanted there at 32. All the other guys are now flying off the board. So now I feel pretty flexible. We could go with a pitcher. We could go with a position player. Still a couple arms I like. Still some intriguing position players. I think Dion Cole has a lot of upside in the outfield. James Clark at shortstop could be quite intriguing. Malachi Washington. Eric Booth. We talked about him. Blazing fast. We talked about Blake Bowen. Big-time power bat. There's a lot of really unique archetypes in this range, but there's one guy who stands, in my opinion, above the rest. With the 43rd pick in the 2026 MLB First-Year Player Draft, the Pittsburgh Pirates select Blake Bowen, an outfielder from JSerra Catholic High School. The Oregon State commit is the first prep bat going to the Pirates. What stands out with Bowen is certainly his power. In 33 games this year and 166 plate appearances, he doubled 28 times, he tripled 6 times, he homered 15 times, 35 walks to just 11 strikeouts. He hit 477. The numbers are ridiculous. 75 grade power potential. This is a guy who, if he hits his ceiling, will be a home run monster. The contact and the avoiding strikeouts, I know he did a good job of it in high school. I don't know if it's going to translate to the next level. I think he's going to have to play one of the corner spots, either left or right. I'd feel good about him in either spot because I do think he has a pretty good arm. Let's go through the second round now. Some of the notable picks in this range include Caden Whitechester. We thought about him with the second pick when we were looking for a pitcher. Aiden Nask, I think, is solid. Carson Wiggins, really high floor from Arkansas, was great in the MLB Draft League. Mason Edwards from USC off the board of the Yankees. I definitely thought about him. Will Gasparino, I like his power from UCLA. Goes a couple picks before us to the Nationals. So now what are we going to do in the third round? I think we've done a good job of limiting our slot money so far, so we can be flexible. We can pick a guy I want here. However, the player I'm targeting is actually quite a bit down the board, but I think he's going to be a gem. I thought about a few outfielders in this range, including Kyle Teal's younger brother, Aiden. I also looked at Sawyer Strohsnyder, who we talked about last time, really struggled in the MLB Draft League. But with the 75th pick, the Pittsburgh Pirates select Caden Sorrell, an outfielder from Texas A&M. So Sorrell is the choice here in the third round. His bonus allotment suggests that he's going to go later, but I'm not buying it. I really like this kid, and I want to make sure we get him now. In 66 games this year with the Aggies, he hit .269, OPS above the 1,000, 23 homers, 72 RBIs. I think he's got contact upside, power upside, plate discipline upside. There's a lot going for him, I think, offensively, and I think he's one of the most pro-ready players in this class with still plenty of room to grow. What really caught my attention, though, was how he performed in the MLB Draft League. Playing 32 games with the West Virginia Black Bears, he hit .304. For a guy who has some contact question marks, that's a really good number. He didn't draw a ton of walks. He only hit 5 homers, but the contact was really good. It would be fun to make the Nepo pick with Aiden Teal, but I really like Caden Sorrell. Big-time lefty bat. I think he's going to fit all ballpark really well, and it's a good pick in terms of the slot money. So now we're going to really be able to be aggressive in rounds 4 through 6 and pick some guys who probably should have gone in the earlier rounds. Let's simulate to our selection now in the 4th round. 3 picks to go. I know in OOTP we can make as many as 20, But obviously in MLB The Show, there's only 6 rounds. Some of the highlights include Nolan Souza, the shortstop from Arkansas. I definitely would have thought about him here. I like him quite a bit. Shortstop PJ Mutsaraitis, I probably would have taken a nice look at as well. Malachi Washington, high upside, a high school bat. Colin Clark from Oregon, I was intrigued by. Blake Bryant, high school arm, I was really high on. And then Jackson Willits, the most recent pick, Eli's older brother. So now here we are in the 4th round. It feels like a crapshoot, but there are still a handful of guys who I am quite high on. With the 6th pick of the 4th round in the 2026 MLB Amateur Draft, the Pittsburgh Pirates select Caden McCarthy, a right-handed starting pitching prospect from Vermont Academy. So McCarthy is the choice. He's only 17 years old. He turns 18 in August. The Tennessee commit is a guy who I think we can potentially poach away from the Vols, coming off a great senior season in 13 starts, 1.89 ERA, 1.03 whip. He's got a good fastball, a solid changeup, and a great knuckle curve. Really intriguing 3-pitch mix. Right now he tops at 95. I think we can get him as high as about 97, 98. Good stuff, solid movement. He's raw. He's got a lot of work to do, but he is a prep pitcher. He's only 17. You expect that to be the case. Not the biggest guy, though, at 6 foot 190. You'd expect him to be a little bigger, but he's got power, even for being a smaller guy. Let's move into the 5th round now. Some more notable names off the board since our last choice. Vaughn Lockey, the catcher from Georgia Tech, I thought about. He struggled in the MLB Draft League, though, playing for the Williamsport Crosscutters, which isn't that far away from Pittsburgh, so we were able to watch him pretty closely. For a contact guy, though, I would have liked to see him hit higher than 220. Eric Booth, I like a lot. He's really fast. I definitely would have thought about him here in the 5th round. I think this is where we can flex our bonus money a little bit. Slot value for this pick is only $530K, but I think we can spend quite a bit more than that because we've been cheap with our money prior. There's one young man in particular who I think has a really high ceiling. He'll be expensive and we'll have to poach him away from a school, but I like his game a lot. With the 6th pick in the 5th round of the 2026 MLB First-Year Player Draft, the Pittsburgh Pirates select Dion Cole, an outfielder from Etowa High School. The Arizona State commit is the pick for us here in round 6. His projected price is nearly $1 million more than the slot value suggested for round 5. Cole had a great season last year, 453 average, 561 on base, 1431 OPS. 10 homers, 31 doubles, 43 walks. 60 great contact potential, 65 great power potential, 60 speed, 70 base running. He can stick in center, probably better in the corner spots, but I do think he has the range to play center field long term. To me, this guy has the ceiling to be a top 10 player in this draft. And there's a world where we look back in 6-7 years and wonder, how did he fall to the 5th round? He is really raw. He is years away from being years away. But the upside is really intriguing, and I think for round 5, given that we were smart with our bonus money, we're able to pick a guy like him rather than cheap out on lesser prospects. Caden Bogenpol from Missouri State, I like him. He goes to the Marlins. Sawyer Strohsnyder is finally off the board to Detroit. If he didn't struggle so bad in the MLB Draft League, I think he could have gone in the first 2 rounds. As for us, only one more pick to go. We've got to make it count. I really like our class so far. I think we did a good job of balancing the bonus money throughout, allowing us to pick a really high upside player like Cole in the 5th round, while still not really sacrificing talent in the other rounds. With the 6th pick in the 6th round of the 2026 First-Year Player Draft, the Pittsburgh Pirates select Cooper Consiglio, a left-handed starting pitching prospect from NC State. A college arm is our final pick of the day. I think Consiglio has a really high floor for a guy who's going here in the 6th round. Pitched in 16 games this year, starting in 15. 3.47 ERA, 1.32 whip. Certainly not as good as the other college arms we looked at, but there's a reason why he's still here in the 6th round. Solid fastball that tops out at about 93 at the moment. I would argue his off-speed pitches are better, though. The changeup and the slider, I think, are his 2 best. The cutter is pretty solid as well. He's got really good stuff. And I think his pitches have plenty of movement. He pitched 8 2/3 innings in the draft league, so not a high sample, but he did pitch well, only allowing 2 runs, only 2 walks, and 14 strikeouts. So it's a small sample, but against other draft prospects, he was really good. And I think this is a guy who could easily be a big leaguer down the line. As for the other picks in the 6th round, the picks after round 6 don't really matter because they won't be added into the game. So they're just going to kind of yeet on out of here. But there's Javorsky Lane Jr., the son of former NFL player Javorsky Lane. He ends up with the Texas Rangers. Otherwise, that wraps up our draft. I really like our group. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Given that these players are not in MLB The Show yet, and I cannot edit the MLB The Show rookies until after this season, we're going to have to wait to see how good these guys are until the offseason. So I'm going to need you guys to be a little patient. I'm still also working on how I'm going to kind of format the ratings, because I don't want it to be exactly what's based on their player cards here, but obviously I want their skill sets to match up. So I'll figure that out. I'm curious to hear some feedback, if you have any, down below in the comments. Let me know what you guys thought at the draft down below. Which picks did you like? Which picks did you not like? What did you think about the format? Is it something you would like for the future, or should I stick with the regular auto-generated classes? We've got the All-Star break, and we're going into the trade deadline in the next episode, and we'll have some big decisions to make, depending on largely how we play. If we do have to sell, we've got some intriguing pieces who could be available. Marcell Ozuna, veteran bat who hits for power, draws a lot of walks. Yeah, he doesn't play defense, but for his offense, somebody's going to want him. Brandon Lau obviously got off to the red-hot start. Hasn't been the same since. He's been worse than Marcell Ozuna defensively, which says something because Ozuna's played 1 inning in the field this year. But he could certainly hit the ball. I think he'd be of value to some team. And then Dennis Santana, probably going to be an all-star this year alongside Paul Skenes. He's one-upped his terrific season from last year. So if we do sell, I think we've got some pieces, but if we play well over the next couple of weeks and we're firmly in the mix for a wild card spot, we're going to buy. I want to get this team in the playoffs as soon as possible, and who knows, maybe that could be this year. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you thought down below in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're new. Peace out.